Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another 320 Sim Pilot stream. I hope you're all doing well on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you very much, or Sunday evening now, I suppose, where I am anyway. Thank you very much for coming along to the stream today. I know there's a few things going on, including I think the Formula One at some point. So thank you for taking the time to come and watch the stream. And today we have a bit of fun for you. Something I'm quite looking forward to doing, really. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. We're going to take ourselves here in Split over to Italy and then South Italy into Reggio Calabria, which is a little airport that has lots of high ground all around it, and it will be a bit of a challenging approach. The approach has got an offset ILS, which we're going to have to fly, and then it leads up to a turn onto final at around 300 feet of 46 degrees. So yeah, it's quite a steep final turn to try and get right into the runway. So it should be a bit of fun. We'll get a chance to play with the navigation aids in the Airbus as well, something we don't do very much. And we're going to fly a localizer approach as well. And I'm going to try and request that from VATSIM, or we'll have to disconnect from VATSIM, either or. We'll make sure we get to do that, because I don't want to land on the active runway because it's sort of a straight in. We'll try and make it fun for ourselves. I don't know why we insist on making sure that we have to make our life difficult whenever we get into the ToLiss Airbus, it seems. I always end up flying an approach that is not as ideal or as simple as some. Right, good afternoon to those in the chat. Thanks for coming along. Matteo was first here, and Matteo set this challenge. He mentioned it a few streams back and sent me the charts, so I couldn't resist it. So thanks for the suggestion, Matteo. Chickpoint, good to see you here. Mio9, thanks for coming along again. Alan Story, thanks for your kind words, and thanks for coming again today. As well as DMT Donuts. Yes, Papa, good to see you here. Thanks for coming. Yes, Papa, our Discord admin. Time Walker. Had some questions. Remind me slightly later as we get into the flight deck. Thanks for that. Ian Morris, good to see you. Hope you're well. Eels1880, who seems quite excited about the idea of some merchandise, which is going to be coming up today. In fact, not too long at all. Hayden J. Robbins, good to see you. Victor Tango, glad you made it to a live stream. Darian Nahu as well. Bob, sorry if I miss anyone. So many names. SB, good to see you again. Plenty of names I do recognise. Death, yeah. Jonathan Blood. Video man Chris, good to see you. Let's fly indeed. Yeah, so we are pretty much ready to go. Mr. Espresso, good to see you. It's been a little while, like I say, since we've been in the Airbus. I didn't realise how long it had been, so it was definitely overdue that we get some ToLiss A321 flight time in. And it's, back in our sort of lockdown, so it's nice to sort of be back in our routine from the summer, which I do look back on quite fondly. Our good time. Right. Victor Tango, Italian, but in the UK, I think we have a few Italians, so my pronunciation will always be not up to scratch. I do apologise. Right, we are here on the ground in Split, pretty much where we left off. You can see, I don't think there's many or anyone. I've got an Alitalia with us. I'm not sure who's flying along with us. I'll have to have a look at VATSMI or VATMAP, I think is the one I use, and see who that is. But yeah, it's a shorter flight today. It's about 1 hour in the air, so that's pretty good. So we're in a cold and dark airplane. I thought we'll just set it up ourselves. Why not? But we'll do a sort of a stream style setup. We won't get too excited about it. So let's jump into the flight deck. And first of all, I'm just going to give a bit of a sneak peek of some of the merch that might be coming out later. So we've got our mug, which seemed to be the most requested one. So there's the back, or it depends which way you hold your mug, really, side of it. So it can be bought from the Teespring store, which I'll provide a link to very shortly. And that is one side of it. And if I go, now I've got to get this right because it's in the charts, and we'll go to the front, and you can see the front side of it. So I think it came out quite nicely. I did order it. This is my one. So I wanted to make sure that it came out okay and the resolution and things worked. You can change the color of the background to a few colors. We chose which colors we thought worked well with the logo. So that is up to you guys. You can find it once I provide the link very soon. You'll be able to go and select that as you wish for that. So that's the first piece. And then we'll add some more coming up a bit later. Let's bring up our chart. And let's think about powering up the airplane. So we arrive on the flight deck. I did do a cold and dark video in the Microsoft Flight Simulator recently, but I won't follow through in quite as much detail, mainly because I don't actually have X checklist connected. I realised I do not have that ready to go. So like I say, stream style setup. So we've got ground power, which is good. Battery voltages are good. And we are going to jump into the basically the preliminary cockpit prep. So you're going to check engine masters are off, mode select norm, weather radar off, landing gear lever down. Both wiper selectors are off, batteries correct, about 25.5, and we're going to tick them on to auto. So looking good. External power is available. We'll turn on the external power, get ourselves powering up. Let me know how the audio is, guys. As ever, I'm never 100% certain on that, but yeah, so yeah, I did indeed. Oh, thank you very much to Time Walker, very kind of you for a 100 NOK donation. The A350 is on sale. Come on, Captain. $52 until Monday. No worries. I have the A350. I did get it on the sale. I knew I would have no excuse if I didn't get it even on the sale. So thank you very much for the donation, Time Walker. Thanks for supporting the channel. It's really appreciated. And yeah, it's amazing the support you guys give. And yeah, we have got the A350. Don't worry. That is in the bag. It's just up to me now to learn how to fly it. So yeah, we'll be doing that. So yeah, on Avitab was the way we revealed it. Although, like I say, we'll get some merch out soon. But thank you, Time Walker. Very kind. Right, let's get to the next step. So I've got where I am now. So batteries checked, auto, external power on, and before we can start up the APU, normally you'll wait for a triple click, though I don't think this is simulated at the moment in here. So we'll give ourselves our fire tests. All good. So these days, get some air for the passengers pretty quickly. We don't want to wait around. So master switch on, get that 5 seconds, as I always mention over and over again, even though it's only 3 in the real airplane, and start the APU. Good, so that's coming on the way. And then there's a few other things we're going to do. Again, this is not quite right because I haven't got the checklist. You normally do the first part, the preliminary cockpit prep is done from the actual checklist, the sort of expanded checklist, and then you go into a flow from there. So doors, we've got enough oxygen. The slides wouldn't actually be armed at this point. And Alan Story, £10 donation. That's very kind of you as well, Alan. Thank you very much. Nice to be able to join you and offer some support. Thank you, Alan. It's really appreciated. Thanks for coming along today, and thanks for your donation to the channel. You've always been very adamant supporter, and on the Discord as well. So thanks for taking the time, Alan. I really appreciate it. And yeah, you know, we got a few things set up from back when you were telling me all the things that I need to get done, which was absolutely fair. I really appreciate the support. Right, so yeah, there's the door. We've got some oxygen outside. Let's check the hydraulics, all in the green. You know, sometimes you'll see these actually above the green lines and some below. It just depends where the doors are, but as long as they're not below on the ground at this point, then you should be all right. But yeah, there's the hydraulic systems, and I want to check the oil. There we go, 11.7, so that's good. We have enough oil for our flight today. Great. Okay, you're going to check a few other things around the flight deck, but what I'm going to do is now the flow. So get the crew oxygen on, start aligning those nav IRSs. Nav lights is hopeless. On back light goes out. Do it the same for number 2. Time Walker. So is it correct procedure to start engine 2 first, then 1? It's not massively relevant, but it is normal procedure when you're doing 2 engines to start engine 2 first, because it provides pressure to the parking brake system on the aircraft. So it's normal to use engine 2, then start engine 1. However, you can taxi out on one engine. In that case, you'd only taxi out on engine 1, and you use the yellow electric pump to power the yellow system instead. So it is possible to do either, really. And I believe the American airlines, I often hear from other American streamers that they start engine 1 as routine first. So I don't think it's too much of an issue at the moment. Fona Atang, thank you very much. $4.99 donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you for joining the stream and for donating to the channel. I really appreciate it, Fona. Thank you for coming along today, and thank you for donating. That's incredibly kind. Darian, yeah, A350 type rating is incoming. Absolutely, yeah, I'm going to have to get some work done on that. Right, audio is working. Excellent, good to know. And let's see. So anyway, IRSs are aligning. Then we'll come down here. Strobes are left on auto. That's fine. You don't actually turn them off, even if you turn off the whole airplane. Beacon off, nav lights on. That's all fine. Smoking lights to auto. Seatbelt signs on. Emergency exit lights arm. We'll let the APU warm up before we turn on the APU bleed. We don't want any lights here, pretty much. Check it's in auto. Landing elevation in auto as well. And I can see that on the, or can I get this right first time? Press. Yes. Landing elevation auto. Anything to do with the pressurization, you end up pressing 3 buttons because you've got the bleed page, the press page, and the conditioning page. So yeah, it's quite common to end up flicking through those, or certainly I struggled to get it right first time. And there we go. Air conditioning page. We'll probably have these slightly down. Oh, interesting. So this is notched, but the fly-by-wire mod now has that working correctly, where it's sort of smooth. These don't have clicks in them. They are very granular, I suppose, is one term. Okay, batteries are good. Something we do with the batteries now is we go to elec, and I'll bring up that page, and then we're going to turn off the battery, and then give it a second, turn it back on, and check that the amps aren't too high. They should drop quite quickly. If they're up at sort of 40 volts, then it's still charging, so there's a problem there. And same for BAT2. Nope, they're nicely charged, so no strenuous load on those. Fuel pumps, I'm going to turn on the fuel pumps now. Get rid of those white lights. Engine fire tests, 1. And sadly, I can't look down here very easily, but there's 1 and 2. Both the squibs. It is possible for them not to light up, so you do want to check that. Make sure all the fire extinguishers are arming properly. And finally, this panel on the right, CFM engines today, so engines are in manual start, are off, blower extract, all of these lights will just be out. And not much to touch here, really. You'd hope there's no lights up there. Excellent. Right. You would do an oxygen test, but we can't do that today. So you can run through your EFIS, wait for the other pilot to get back, all sorts of things, but essentially we're going to run through this. So it's time to set the QNH, really. Let's get some weather. Could have done this earlier. LDSP. Again, we seem to exclusively fly to slightly more difficult airports than normal. So let's go. QNH 1014 is on. Just turn it up because normally that's left a bit dim overnight. Down we go. All looking good. Going to stop that stop clock and get it ready for when we depart. Anti-skid nose wheel steering is on. The lights are all there. Fantastic. Down here then, radio panel 1228 for Unicom. I don't think we have any VATSIM controllers nearby. There is there's a Lima Zulu. Let's check. Let me just see, because I got messed it up last time. I missed that there was a controller around. I'm sure they'll contact me. But no, that's further away. Okay, good. Right. Lights are already on. Radar still off, as you would hope. This landing gear gravity extension is down. It does work in the ToLiss. Amazing, so that's good. Parking brake is on. Brake pressure check. Should have been checked earlier, I suspect. And we've got the transponder. We're just going to put swap that one over to make sure it works properly with VATSIM. Good stuff. Right. Just jumping into the chat, see what else we've got. Andrew Wilson, thanks for coming. I'm glad you made it to a live stream. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We've got Eels1880 says, what about an air start? We have done an air start on the channel, actually, but we're not going to do it today because I'm already going to spend a bit of time setting up the airplane. But yeah, definitely, probably time to do that again. I suppose it was about 6 months ago, I guess, since I've done it. DMT Donuts says, I've noticed the ToLiss and Flight Factor cockpits look different. Which one closest resembles the real-life plane the most? I don't have the Flight Factor, so I'm afraid I just don't know. I think the ToLiss is very good. I also think the Microsoft Flight Simulator one is very good. It's amazing, really, how good they've become. And I struggle when I'm sitting in one to remember what the other one looks like. So they're all pretty close, I think, these days. But yeah, I don't have the Flight Factor, sadly, to be able to tell. Geordie, good to see you, Geordie. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well this evening. And Chen Timothy, why do you have to wait for the on-bat when align inertial reference system? Do they require higher load to start? So that's a great question. That used to be a procedure to turn it on, wait for on-bat, then the light goes out, then you do the next IR, and then you do the next IR. Now, why that is, I can't tell you. That'll be a deep engineering thing. And if it's still a rule or not, I've been digging and I can't get an exact answer. So I'm not 100% certain that is still applicable, but that's certainly something I have been taught in the past, so something I tend to try. I have noticed if you try to do one, then the other, whilst the on-bat light is on, so if you do, in the real aircraft this is, if you do IR1 to nav and the on-bat light is still on, and then you do 2 and then you do 3, there's a risk that it won't align properly. I have had that before. If you do all 3 before the on-bat light comes on, which is possible if you're fast, then actually that seems to not be an issue. So I'm not 100% sure. We can put a system display on, I suppose. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that doesn't work yet. But yeah, so I can't tell you why. I wish I knew. And I wish I knew if it was still an absolute rule. Does the IRS align take 5 minutes before it's ready? Time Walker says. No, it takes a bit longer, actually, although I think this is done on a slightly faster one. Yeah, so it's over 7 minutes. I think it can be up to 12 minutes. It depends, but yeah, it's not too bad. Good evening, the only Millhouse. Hope you're doing well. Right. MTDU time. Why not? Good. I think that's latest database still. I really hope so. We're going to go from Lima, check I get this right, Delta, Sierra Papa, to Lima, India, Charlie Romeo, which I completely misnamed. I thought it was Rome Ciampino when Matteo mentioned it previously. We are going to be the IMX 237. Costa next today. Well, I'm looking down at my piece of paper. Let's show you guys what I'm doing. Fill the screen as always. That's the job. So the cost index of 22. Flight level again low 290. I've had a few low flight levels from SimBrief. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but anyway, we'll take it. Alternate is Napoli, Lima, India, Romeo, November. If I get that right. Yeah, Romeo, November. Excellent. And we can align that IRS. Modern aircraft with GPS, it tends to align itself, but not all of them. It does depend on the fit. I'll load in the wind once I've done the rest of it. So data init A, flight plan, departure. They're expecting us to depart from, I haven't got a runway in use, but I do have the weather. Let's go to 0308. So I'd expect a 05 departure, which is, I think, what we were planning via Velug. Now I spent a bit of time preparing the arrival. Velug 1 whiskey. I haven't looked at these, so plan. Looks like we're going to go back through the overhead. Oh, that's quite fun. Okay, good. And then south to Velit. Have I got that wrong then? Velit and then Velug. Maybe that's what I'm doing. As long as there's not a Velug and a Velit. Hold on. There we go. I was going to say we don't want to go southeast. Oh no, we won't get to fly back round on ourselves. Oh well, there we go. Incept. There we go. Someone is pushing for runway 5, so we'll follow them out. Although I'm always blocking the apron with my slow get readies. Dave Geimer says the on-bat thing is to test to ensure that the systems still work on battery only in the event of IDG and RAT failure. So I've been told. Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't disagree. 320 Sim Pilot. Video Man Chris says, I noticed under the chrono button there is a button that says side stick priority. Do the side sticks in Airbus work together? Then that gives you priority. That button is an indicator. So the aircraft has obviously 2 side sticks. We've got one on each side. They work independently. They're not connected. If you move one, the other doesn't move. So there's no feedback as such for what the other pilot is doing. So if one side stick were to fail, for example, and start commanding a nose down or anything like that it shouldn't be, you could hold the red button and take over from the other side stick. And that's what the priority button is doing. I think. Does it work? Not sure if it's going to work though. I don't know if that's modeled or not. Anyway, so there is a way to make sure that it doesn't, it can't be overridden by a faulty side stick, but the button doesn't actually work. It's just a display to show you which way it's going. Yep, there in Nahu. That's exactly. So we've got Velug, and after Velug, we're going to take an airway. Now the A300 seems to have a much nicer system for doing this, as I always say, but Zulu 924 will go with the old-fashioned 320 way UTAPO. Actually, it'll be all right because SimBrief tends to try and keep you on airways. It does quite a good job, even if the routing isn't quite as direct, whereas in real life we end up with more direct routings that take... I mean, you can't... If you get a direct routing, you can't use this page so easily. Right, Sierra Oscar Romeo, and then Quebec 58. 2 Papa India Golf Echo Romeo Tiger. There we go. Insert. Now at the other end, this is going to be something I'm going to set up, but we're going to do the localize at 33 Alpha, absolutely, which may not connect to this arrival. We've got the 1 X-ray. Let's have a look. Oh, we're not doing that. We're going to go via the RCA. Oh, interesting. I spent so long trying to make this work. Okay, well, we're going to fiddle with that as we get underway, but there's some sort of arrival, gives us a sensible sort of track mileage guess. Secondary flight plan, we're going to copy. Actually, this is a pretty good departure, even if we have an engine failure. We are going to be able to... let's bring up the charts properly. There we are, 1. And we are going via the Velug 1 whiskey. That is always confusing when there's... We've got Velug and Velit. Yeah, easy to get those meddled up if you're not being careful. 1 whiskey, which means we're going to effectively turn right out to sea. So we're turning away from the high ground. So I think even with an engine failure, that's pretty reasonable. Heading off to the southwest of Velok. Victor Tango says, I joined the server for Discord, but I don't seem to be able to send any messages. So for Victor Tango, you need to go to the... there's a tick to verify your account, and it's just a way to stop bots or anything getting in. So that way you can get yourself to be able to send messages. Aaron, good to finally see your live stream. Good morning from my place. Good morning to you. Well, I wonder where you are, Aaron. Thanks for joining us today. Right, what was if BR? Engines might need to be on before it works. Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Alexander Pasuto, good to see you again. Nice to be back in the UK. Returned from Hong Kong. Oh, I hope you had a good time. Yeah, Alexander is a current, let me get this right, 777 pilot, Alexander. I certainly flown the Airbus as well and other Boeings. Good to see you here, Alexander. Thanks for coming along. Right. Let's get ourselves. So there's secondary. So DIFS RadNav. What RadNav can we use? I'm guessing this is an RNAV. Don't worry, it's not an RNAV at the other end. We have a bit of fun. We have to actually set it up. Oh, you can see it's remembered some of my previous shenanigans when I was trying to set it up. Good. We're going straight ahead. Max 185. Right turn. Within 4.5 radius. So what's that 4.5 based off? That looks like the Sierra Papa Lima. And that little note should say, we look for that little note 1. They always hide it around the chart. 1, do not overshoot D4.5 Sierra Papa Lima. So that's quite an important nav aid to have. So let's force tune that and 4.5. So to make sure we're going to stay in that ring, I'm just going to put in Sierra Papa Lima. There's a couple now, so make sure you get the right one. It is the 1157. It says 4.5. I'm going to do 4. Oh, no, not radial. Radius. 4 radius. And that's going to draw a 4-mile ring around it. Okay, so I need to be careful not to go too far through that. I can go slightly through it, but not too far. Speed limit in that turn, 185. Let's make sure the box, as we refer to it, has that limit. That's a bit concerning. It says 250. Okay, that's not good. So it doesn't look like it has it. Normally you'd see it written there as well. So it may not apply that. So we're going to have to make sure it does that ourselves. How can we do that? Well, we've done a secondary RadNav. I think that's the only RadNav we need. Yeah, it doesn't even have the 185 knots there. So 185 is clearly our maximum speed. So I'm going to pre-select that in a second. I'll show you how I do that until we're around the turn. Also, stop altitude. Let's get that right. Initial climb clearance 5,000. So let's put that in. 5,000 feet. That is certainly below the MSAs in this area, above the MSA once we've turned. So we're going to follow this very carefully until we make that turn. Just make sure the routing's right. So 480 feet, above 480, we're going to make a right turn. We're going to track 147, which is there, course 147 to SP 800, which is that point. There, we're going to be 185 knots. Oh, there it is, 185. Okay, good. So then from there, we'll make another right turn and accelerate. So, we'll see the speeds when we put the performance in. Just make sure it has got the right thing. Angel Rodriguez says, is the autopilot on the 320 fly-by-wire broken right now? He's talking, or she is talking, about the 320 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yes, it's still broken, as I understand it, although there are ways to make it work. Yeah, so it is possible. Alexander is 777, 15 on the 777. There you go, excellent. Yeah, long way to Hong Kong, though. Oh, amazing. Right. So, let's get ourselves moved through the process. Diff init B plugins, ToLiss, already loaded up the weights as appropriate. So this is just to show you guys what we have. We are a bit lighter today. We're going from short runway to short runway. We got a 0 fuel weight to 61.8. Pretty light for a 321 with 28.4 CG. Block fuel, I've added a bit, 8.6. I think we required a bit less than that, but that was for a different arrival, so I've added extra fuel for that arrival. There we go, there's our init B. Weights will look fine. And finally then, performance. Can we do a flap 1 takeoff? Oh, it reckons we can. All right then, we'll do that. I still think the flap 1s work much better in the ToLiss. A great thing I've seen in the fly-by-wire and Microsoft Flight Simulator is now, when you change the flap, the speeds reduce when you put more flap out, which is finally happening, which is much more how the normal aircraft works. So yeah, good stuff. Right, flap's going to be 1. Flex temperature of 45. Yeah, okay, not a bad flex either. So doing well for temperatures. V1 150, V2, sorry, VR 150, V2 152. Transition altitude is high. It's 10,000 feet. So we're going to be on altitudes all the way up until 10,000 feet. We'll convert to flight levels when we get above that. I'm going to put in 1560 for the engine out acceleration. I don't want to accelerate at 460 feet. Okay, so yeah, the climb phase, it doesn't seem to. I'm concerned about the speed limit. Let's make sure it works. Okay, it reckons 185 out to there. So what you can do, if you wanted to, is also pre-select a speed. So you go performance, next phase, and in the climb phase, you could pre-select, and I could put in 185, and that way it will do that. In fact, let's do that anyway. Let's have a pre-selected speed. So now, after our takeoff phase ends, it will automatically go to 185 selected speed, and then we can adjust or manage the speed from there. I think that would be our best way for today. Right, let's just save this in case we have any issues later on. Save, please. Thank you. We've got autosave on. Good. Right. Sorry if I'm missing you in the chat. Avio Man, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. And I hope you're doing well, Avio. Sky Ranger, good evening to you. Yunus Derate. Apparently the broken autopilot has been fixed with the new developer build. There we go. They're always very quick at fixing these things, so it should be in a good place. Corrosive Moon, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Victor Tango, what does flex stand for? It's flexible temperature. So it's saying that you're going to change the temperature. You're going to tell the engines the wrong temperature to change the thrusts. Yeah. Why it's called flex temp, I don't know, but it's called flexible temperature. Yeah. I'm sure there's a reason somewhere deep in the history of aviation. Right. So are we going to make our restrictions? That's the other thing. Quite important. So actually, it reckons we'll be 203 knots at SB 800 now. But I'm not going to worry about that because I've told it 185. If not, we'll just pull 185. Good stuff. And around we go and up we go. I'm going to have the VOR displayed on my side. VOR1 so that I can see that DME because we're looking for 4.5. Quite what you do if you go through it. Well, yeah, it's one of those ones. Keep turning right, I suppose. But yeah, there we go. Dougal McTavish, good to see you. No worries. Yeah, I hope you're having a good evening. Probably dinner time, I suppose, Dougal. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're feeling better since last time. Turtle Kai, good to see you. If I didn't say hi already. Victor Tango, you're very welcome. Darren Naho flexing with who can use the lowest power. Exactly. Right. Good stuff. I'm really sorry if I've missed anyone. There's lots of chat that I've been missing. So we'll get ourselves set up and underway. Right. Close that. So performance is done. We got it on the PFDs. Climb that blue 152. Stop altitude. Speeds are in. The weight is in. APU is now available. Let's get some air for the passengers. Let's get rid of the ground power units. Let's turn on the ground control. Make sure the voice recorder is working. And time to close up the doors. I would leave these in auto. The auto system does work quite well. The reason I do this is because I set up the stream sort of 40 minutes before we go anywhere, so it gets a bit confused. Right. Oh yeah, and the one thing I needed to do, get rid of the ground power. Is the APU available? Yes, it is. Double check. Good. That's gone. Right. Looking good. I'm going to have the terrain display up, so I'm going to press terrain there and make sure, because that is the most useful. And you can see there, do not fly straight towards that. If you did, for any reason, accidentally end up flying straight towards it, the terrain display would appear automatically on the navigation display anyway. It is designed to make sure you can't miss it. Good stuff. Okay. Constraints. Definitely going to be useful. Copilot can have terrain as well. There's no weather out there. It's actually a really nice day, and this is live weather, so we're in a good place for the departure. Right, so there was a question about why do we use flap 1, 2, 3, what's the reasoning behind it on takeoff. So today we're going to use flap 1 because we can. Flap 1 is pretty much the standard. It's the least amount of flap, of course, and it means you're going to burn less fuel and you need a bit less thrust because there's less drag out on the airplane as you take off. The downside of flap 1 is that you need to be going faster because there's a bit less lift because you haven't got as much flap out. If you had a short runway, and this is not the longest in the world, but it's reasonable. If you have a really short runway, then you'd need to use flap 2 or flap 3. If it's short, sorry, if you have a short runway. The reasoning is they'll give you more lift so you can take off at a slower speed and get yourself into the air. The downside of flap 2 and flap 3 is that once you're in the air, you've got more drag. So you're actually getting worse performance once you're in the air. So if you had a really short runway and then a massive great obstacle here, that would be quite tricky, and that can be really limiting. So if you have an obstacle in the way after takeoff, you want to be flap 1 because you're going to get yourself airborne, accelerate, and be faster and climb faster with less drag. If there's just a really short runway and hopefully no obstacles, a bit like today really, then you would use flap 2 or flap 3 just to get off the ground. Mostly flap 3 is, short runways, you'll end up using more flap. It's pretty much the theory there. If we look at the length of this runway, I'm surprised. Yeah, 2,500 meters. So flap 1 at this weight is no problem. If this was sort of 2,000 meters, then we may be having to put out some more flap for this sort of departure. So yeah, there we go. I use flap 1 in the ToLiss because I think the performance speeds are slightly off. The speeds are too high when you use flap 2 and flap 3 in the ISCS. So that's why I do that. Right. Do you have yoke and throttle, Jack? I'm not sure if Jack's asking me, but I just have the Thrustmaster HOTAS 4 for my streams. I don't have a yoke or the throttle, and I certainly don't have the first officer pack. I know Thrustmaster have made one, although I think they're still pretty hard to get hold of. But I know a few people on the Discord have them and seem happy with them. Okay, look, let's run through some checklists, I suppose. It's about that time of day. Right, so before I start checklist, cockpit prep completed. You're both going to have a look around, make sure there's nothing out of the ordinary from where it should be. Gear pins and covers removed. I talk about that in my walk around video if you want to know what the gear pins do. Signs are on and auto. I say my walk around video. I don't think I've uploaded that yet. So there we go. I'm talking nonsense. My old walk around video does explain some of these things, but I'm working on another walk around video in Microsoft Flight Simulator just to have a look at the different visual model and the Neo. There's a couple of small differences for a bit of fun. So yeah, that video isn't up yet. So there's a sneak preview for you guys. But yeah, if you're wondering why I'm directing you to something that doesn't exist. Signs are on and auto. ADIs are in nav and aligned, and we can see that down here. The align message is gone. Fuel quantity, we've got 8,500 kilos and balanced in the inner tanks, the only tanks we have, so that's good. Takeoff data is set. It's all set here, and we'll check the other side. You want to make sure that it has come across to the other side because these use two separate flight management computers, so it's better, or it's required really, to check that it does make it through to both sides. And Barra F1014, that's set, sensible. We're about sea level here, slightly above sea level. Windows and doors closed, thrust levers are at idle, beacon can come on, mobile phone off, thrust levers idle, it's there, and parking brake is set. Right, let's check I'm on the right frequency for VATSIM. And once we're underway, we'll put some more of the merch up. It's not a long flight, like I said, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll get straight into our preparation for the arrival. So still no traffic control. Good stuff. Let me just jump into the chat very briefly, see what I may have missed, as ever. Okay. Oh, wow. The loads. You guys are really talkative today. Good to see. Thanks for coming along and engaging with everyone. Salvador says, I'm wondering how do you move around in your plane when you're flying? I can't seem to get my aircraft door open either. Right. Well, we won't talk too much about that. Let's see. Yeah, this is a simulator, exactly. Right, Victor Tango has the Thrustmaster Officer Pack. Quality of the landings have massively improved. Great stuff. There you go. Good to know. DMT says, will center tank fuel pumps be off for the flight since there's no fuel? No, we leave them on anyway. The only reason, I mean, that is, there was an old restriction where you might have to turn them off if you got a caution about it, but these days, no, the planes work. You just leave them on. Yeah, it's an automated system. It's great. The Airbus is just great like that. Hello to Lux Aviation Spotter. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along to the stream. And right, we'll get ourselves going underway. I think we'll do a call on Unicom and work out which way I'm going to face once we do push back. Manta 237. Okay. Split ground, Manta 237, pushing back from stand 6 for runway 05 departure. Right, let's get rid of the ground handling. They're gone. And let's bring up the better pushback. And before I completely embarrass myself, because this always orientates itself. This always orientates me for the other way. So we're going to go from 0.5. We're taking off the other way. Yeah, so we want to push back the other way. Terrible. It's so hard when you're in airplanes to work out which way north and south are, because you're just facing a wall nearly all the time. So we're going to go this way.
All right, Captain, got the directions. Let me know through the menu when you're ready.
And we've got an American pushback driver again. Excellent.
Great news, Captain. Your tow's coming.
Excellent. They sound very happy. Right, so there we go. The tug is arriving. Alexander is starting to miss the Airbus slightly. No problem. I'm sure the 777 is excellent. Oh, very enjoyable to be crew on, certainly.
All right, looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
Okay, they're connecting. That's good. Video man Chris liked the smooth track review video. That's great, guys. I did a video recently, a review of a product, an app that let you use head tracking. I'm not using it in this stream, but I did a review of it. Something slightly different on the channel. I haven't done a review of anything before, so you guys let me know what you thought. Was it worth it? Was it something different? Something you'd like to see more of? Let me know. Thanks for your subscription to Krishna. Thanks for coming along. The empty donut says left click hold and you can move the map. Yeah. I need to get better. That's great. Go ahead and kill the parking brake. That's a very American style thing. So brakes released. Off we go. Light him up. Brilliant. I'm getting that strange glitch. I haven't seen that for a while now in Explain, but there it is. Not sure what causes that. Okay. So we are pushing back. Seems like the right direction. Thanks for your subscription to Kerem. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the video. Ember Mom says, got the smooth track too. It's good. Biggest problem is how to position the phone. Yeah, agreed. And you will find a way. I actually put a rubberized case on my phone that meant I could lean up against the smooth sort of desk I've got without falling over. Right, to start the engines. Switch that over to number 2. We've got FADEC. We've got pressure at the start valve down here. Starting engine 2. We're obviously going to do a 2-engine taxi today because it's just so short. There'll be no point. Start the chrono. Time is running. Fair enough. Checkpoint says you're reviewing the mods most of the time. Yeah, so for fly-by-wire, they do a great job, and they seem to respond to the videos we make on this channel as well, which is it's really good. I've been waiting to do another fly-by-wire mod video because it's come a long way, and my goodness, the thing's in there now since I last tried it. Parking brake is set. But I'm waiting for version 0.5. That's avail. Once we get that avail light, we can start engine 1 and restart the timer. So I will be doing another one. Thank you very much, Ian, for your £5 donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Ian. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. Ian says, thanks for the videos. I was mashing buttons blindly in FS 2020 until I found your tutorials. Now I'm enjoying the actual simulation. That's brilliant, Ian. I'm really glad it's working out for you. And that's why I do it. It's just to help people with the Airbus. Disconnect and see them on the left. Because I struggled when I first used the Airbus back before I was trained to fly it, and it's such a different thing to some other aircraft we're more used to. So I'm really glad the videos have helped you. more to come on both. And like I say, the fly-by-wire mod getting better all the time. I might have to do an intermediate video before the 0.5 version is out.
And we're disconnected. Signal and pin on the left. Take it easy and have a safe flight.
Very nice push. There we go. Ground crew disconnecting. Engines up and running. Domke wants the sound a bit louder for the game. Yeah, let's just boost that a little bit. Do let me know if it's still not enough. I always struggle to get that right. There's our ground crew. Is there a wave yet? There he is. Oh, over there, waving away. Excellent. Back in the flight deck then. Engines have started. Start the timer for warming them up. And let's come on to the overheads. Okay, the cat has arrived and is now messing up the computer. So let's hope that doesn't cause any issues. Last time I said that, it all went wrong, didn't it? So, okay, APU bleed off. Engines are definitely up and running, so we'll get rid of the APU. Don't need the anti-ice. And I'm going to come down here. Arm the ground spoilers in case we reject the takeoff. Reset the rudder trim to 0. Set the flaps to 1. And this should have been transponding already. Be on transponder. There we go. Right. Good stuff. Let us jump to the checklist. After start checklist, anti-ice is off. Ecam status checked. Oh, I know what I've forgotten. Pitch trim. Yeah, so thank you for your subscription to Francesco Calea. I hope you enjoy the video or the stream or whatever you are watching. Right, CG 29.3. Standard, really. That's going to be almost exactly where we always have it. Yeah, there we go. Not even worth fiddling with. Although a lot of people do anyway. Just to the principle of making sure you've done something, just move it a bit. Pitch trim, rudder trim 0. After start check is complete. Let's taxi out. We're going to have to backtrack, so let's hope no one else is around, because I think this is our only way on and off this runway. Yes, it is. We're going to have to enter via Alpha. Great. Let me rearrange my desk so I can actually get the joystick on here. Thanks for your subscription to Airman F7. All right. Prepare for some clattering noises as the microphone gets thrown around all over the place. Yeah, so many things in chat. I do apologise if I missed any questions directed at me. So yeah, do feel free to tag me in it if it's a question for me, and then I'll hopefully see it anyway. Yeah, the cat Darian is the short of streams, so hopefully she's not a bad omen. She's just cooking on the computer, right? Because I'm going to have to enter an active runway. I'm not actually going to taxi forward yet. What I'll do, I think, is run some of the things we can do now and get them out of the way. So let's do the flight control check before we go. So we'll go full forwards, full up. Actually, it's quite good to do a flight control check. I find out that my microphone is going to hit the joystick. I can rearrange the desk a bit. Right, there we go. Full up. That's better. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Do my rudders work. Full left. Try and do that slowly. In real life, you do it quite slowly, probably something similar to that. Full right. Oh, neutral. Good stuff. So let's get that weather radar auto. We're pointing out into nothing, so that's fine. System 1 online. Predicted wind shear to auto. Transponder to TARA. And that should go back to norm. Max auto brake. Cabin can have their ding dong. Taxi lights on. Thanks for your subscription to Bingo 8000. Taxi lights on and takeoff config test. Now, the sun is setting, but I'm hoping we'll get there in time. If not, we're going to just change daylight slightly. Right. There we go. So we've got some of the big ticket items done before we enter the runway. It gives us a bit of a chance to focus on what we're doing. Engines are still warming up. We need 5 minutes on these, but by the time we backtrack, that'll be fine. We're going to backtrack and use the turning pad. This one here. Turning pads are much easier than trying to do it on the runway. Totally possible to do it on a normal width runway, but yeah, we don't want to push our luck. It's always nice to use the turning pad if it's there. Martha is new to the channel. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoy it. Right. Let us release the parking brake. It's all clear on the left. Hopefully it's all clear on the right. Sun beaming in, so you definitely have your sun visor down just to see where you're going as you start the taxi. Let's get those engines spooled up a bit. And a brake check. All good. I'm getting some sounds. Oh, there are some sounds. Yeah, let me know how it's doing for you guys on the sounds. And is it all clear on the runway? It's clear on the approach the other way. No one's doing that circle, which is what we did last time we came here. So let's get as many lights on as possible. And you definitely need air traffic clearance. I'm just going to report it. And split ground, Manta 237, taxiing to backtrack, runway 05 to depart 05 to the southwest. My voice shouldn't be louder. Maybe I'm getting close to the microphone. I must say the engines are really quiet in the flight deck for me. Oh no, they're okay. They're okay. I will go back to the IAE and the BSS sound pack at some point because that is a really good sound pack. I really liked that. Alexander Pasuto says, have you seen how large my GE90 engines are on the 777? It can fit your whole plane fuselage in it. Yes, I'm sure that's every 777 pilot's favourite fact as well. Excellent. Yeah, they are huge. Absolutely massive. That's on the 777-300, is it? Or is that on all of them? But yeah, they are amazing, amazing things. I don't think there's anything bigger even on the more modern aircraft. Yeah, the plane sounds are a bit quiet. I'll try and maybe once we get in the air that will start working out. I'll just try boosting that a little bit more. And you guys let me know if that's too much. I'll jump outside. Can you guys hear any audio at all from the aeroplane? Okay, time to do our turn. There is some audio, good. Not a very big turning pad this one, so we'll just do our best. A bit fast, 14 knots, be a bit of a swing. Get ourselves there, and round we go. Even, yeah, 5 knots, probably more than enough for this. Don't want to hit the end of the runway lights. So manoeuvrable. It's absolutely brilliant how manoeuvrable the Airbus is. Look at that. With the turning pads, you don't even need it. We're slightly to the left. Try and get us slightly nearer the centre line, but you don't want to waste all your runway fiddling because you'll be able to get more on the line once you're going, so not overly worried. There we go. Okay, parking brake on. Let's make sure we've done our checklist, and then I'll jump into the chat once we're in the air. Did anyone hear that? Very quiet. Okay, no worries. Let's boost it. Yeah, it could be my X-plane sounds. Because I keep swapping between add-ons and fiddling with the sound effects. So yeah, there we go. It's the voice that is loud. Yeah, okay. Let me turn down my voice a little bit. Maybe I'm just talking over everything. Right. Sorry guys, I'm just making sure the sounds are as good as we can get. What was FNBR says, is there a good freeware sound pack for the 321? There's F mods. I think they've added F mod into this. So currently the CFM have the modded sounds, and I've got a payware sound pack for the IAE engines, but I need to reinstall it, I think. And Steve says, on some models, gauges above the MCDU, both sides are modelled. A gauge where destination METAR could be continually monitored. I don't think ToLiss are monitoring it, but they are doing a NEO version, which may have the CPDLC box up here. In terms of continually monitoring, I don't think I've seen that. You can do that through the ACARs, though, but that's not currently modelled in this. Right, let's get ourselves going. So before takeoff checks, flight controls have been checked, flight instruments are checked, briefing. We are going to take off. We've got 185 knots selected, climbing up to 5,000 feet with our right turn. We're going to carry on with that departure, so making sure we're in nav mode if we have an engine failure to get ourselves around. Otherwise, we're going to stay on the QNH until we get ourselves cleaned up further. It's a normal flap 1 takeoff. And yeah, pretty much that's a very short briefing. but it's going to be a packs on takeoff, things like that. Other special things you can mention. Normal winds though, slight headwind. Flap setting, we've got config 1% on there. We've got config 1 blue in there, so they agree. That's what we wanted. FMS and takeoff data, we've got 150, 152, climb nav 152 are all in there. 5,000 feet is armed and ready to go. Transponder is set to TARA and 2,000 for now. ECAM memo, takeoff with no blues. Excellent. Cabin is secured. Engine mode select to normal for this departure. TCAS is TARA. Packs are both on. That's the before takeoff checklist complete. Let's get ourselves going. So, you guys are good at this point. They're reminding me of something I've forgotten, so it's always nice to just pause. Let's get the chart ready for the departure. Up and around we go. Should be good. Trying to keep it within 4.5. Now, I haven't practiced this departure, so I don't know, but we shall find out. So I'm going to start the timer, set 50% on the N1s. Brakes released. And there's Manflex 45. SRS runway, order thrust is blue. Away we go. Half side stick forward should be in. Bit of a wind from the left as the airplane is trying to crab that way. 80 to 100. Side sticks in neutral. Yeah, you can see 2,500 meters is really quite long, especially at these weights. And there's that windsock showing we definitely have a headwind. And V1 rotates. Positive climb, gear up. Nav, that's good. We need to get about 460 feet. And let's get that right turn going. We do not want to fly into those hills. And you can see how quickly you run out of space because we are already at 3.1. But it's working okay. It's working okay. We're accelerating at around 1,500 feet, so I expect lever climb once we pass through about 1580, I think it was, 1560. There it is. So, thrust levers back, thrust climb, climb, auto thrust, and you can see the blue 185 knot speed target. So that's worked out as we expected because we've told it that. So it's going to keep that, and we want to keep that until we round the turn. Problem we've got now is, I'm just going to put the autopilot in to show you. The autopilot's in. 185 knots is of course quite slow, so with the climb thrust and 185 flap 1, the airplane's going to climb really fast up to 5,000. It's going to really put that nose up because it's quite a slow speed. Normally you'd be trying to accelerate. So what I can do is pull the vertical speed, get it under control. We'll do 2,000 feet per minute for now. We obviously will not retract the flaps because I won't do that until I'm above the green S. Martha says, I kind of like your channel. Thank you, Martha. I hope you're enjoying the stream today. Okay, so below 5,500, that's that minus, which we will be. And there we are. I love this feature following us along on the route. $1,000 feet to go. Under control, 1,500. There's not much traffic out there. You wouldn't expect too much traffic in Split. I suppose someone could be trying to arrive, but then they'd be coming in on 05, you would hope. So once we're around this turn, we can accelerate. So we shall do just that. Excellent. Lovely sunset. This is the real weather, so it's if anyone's down in the Mediterranean or the Dalmatian coast, do let us know. Out to star, there we go. Turning round. Let's get a departure shot. We've got to do that. Excellent. Time to accelerate. So how do we accelerate? Dead easy. We're just going to push that speed control to the aircraft. So 1 dot, and now it's going to accelerate. It's en route climb. 250 knots, obviously below 10,000 feet. We're below the 5.5. Is there a restriction at the next one? We need to be above 9. That's the only restriction I can see now. And velo. So I think time, the magic of flight sim when there's no controllers, we're going to go straight up to our cruise of 29,000. Above the green S, flaps to 0. Set standard, set. There it is. Thrust climb, open climb, and we've got an armed altitude of flight level 290. After takeoff climb checklist, landing gear is up. Let's do our flow. Those your lights are off. So landing gear is up. Flaps are at 0. Packs are on. Bow ref is on standard. And away we go. We can stop timing now. We only time on takeoff because we have a 5-minute limit on the takeoff thrust when we're on 2 engines, or a 10-minute limit on 1 engine. So if an engine fails, you've got 10 minutes. Why it's different on each engine, I don't know. Probably just a regulation thing. But yeah, so we don't want to burn them for more than 5 minutes on 2 engines, which we haven't. Now they're at climb thrusts, which we can see written right there, climb. So great, off we go. Jump into a passenger view as well, obviously time for that. Yeah, the engine sounds aren't, I'm not sure I've got it set up quite right today. Like I say, definitely time to get back in the BSS mod anyway. Hayden J. Robbins says, is it always a bit of a buzz for when you take off on a nice day? It is. It is always, it's always a buzz taking off. These aircraft, you know, they're complicated machines. You do a walk around outside where you get to see the size of it and the weight of it, and you know, you see people boarding, and you know it's all exciting. People are going away. There'll always be someone on board who's happy to be going where they're going as well. So it's great fun. And then as you're rolling down the runway, there was a book, and I've totally forgotten the name of the author, but it was a very good book that talked about some of these things, and they talk about the thrill of rolling down the runway, and you feel the aircraft come to life. The book was called Skyfaring. I don't know if any of you read it, by an airline pilot. There we go, through 10,000 feet. We're accelerating. Turn off those landing lights so they don't rumble. We're climbing into getting, well, the sun's going up as we go higher, obviously, because as we go higher, you can sometimes get a sunrise like this in the wrong direction, because as you climb, it reappears again. I'm going to go to airport on this side, and I'm going to go to Costa Next 0 because it's a short flight, and I still have issues with the climb speeds that the ToLiss chooses. Great. Let's go into RadNav. Let's clear out the split VOR because we are now going to need it for something else. Secondary, we're just going to copy the active into there. And that's us. So, yeah, then they talked about, in the Skyfaring book, they talked about the feeling of rolling down the runway, and as you accelerate, you start off with an airplane that's, they're not very good on the ground. You're trying to use the brakes and the steering, and it's sort of, as you know, in the ToLiss, it runs away from you slightly, it accelerates, you're using the brakes, it's a bit awkward. If you turn and when you're too fast, you feel the airplane sliding on the runway, things like that, which is, you know, they're just a bit awkward on the ground. It's fun, don't get me wrong, I enjoy taxiing a lot, but when you're rolling down the runway, it starts to all make sense. You've got all that thrust behind you. The 321s especially have a lot of thrust. They're definitely more powerful when they get going than the 320 and certainly the 319. So you feel that kick into your seat, and then it just keeps going, and you're going faster and faster. And you start to feel the airplane come to life, and suddenly the flight controls work. So the first sign you get that the flight controls, and therefore the air is flowing around the airplane, is when you release the side stick from pushing half side stick down up to neutral at about 80 to 100 knots. Even in the real aircraft, sometimes you'll feel the nose ever so slightly come up slightly. So you'll realise that you were actually pushing down on that nose wheel. And then you realise, okay, this is an aeroplane now. It's going to work. It's going to fly. It wants to fly. And as you get further along, you know, that just becomes more and more true. And you're just using the rudder to keep it straight. And then, yeah, you pull back and up it goes. And it's always amazing. Yeah, absolutely love it. But I can't take credit for that. That's Skyfaring talked about that, and it's stuck with me because it's so accurate. Alexander says, have you ever had a 777 taxi past you when you've been in the plane? I love performing the walk around for my 777. You need a good set of ear defenders. Yeah, you do need ear defenders, all these things. Again, I talk about this, funnily enough, in my walk around video, which I haven't uploaded yet, but I will be soon. But yeah, they are very noisy things on the outside. But I understand the 777 wheels get very hot because they've got so many wheels close together. It can be quite difficult to get near them. On the Airbus, we just have the 2 sets, but the 777's got, let me think, 12 main wheels, is that right? You're welcome, Hayden. Darian, there'll be all sorts of reasons for certification, but airplanes are usually built well beyond the certification minimum, but yeah, there'll be plenty of reasons why, I'm sure. I just don't know them, I'm afraid. Cam A321 says, sorry if you covered this. No problem, Cam, and hello if I didn't say hello to you earlier, Cam. I hope you're doing well. I'm trying to fly this route as well. I am flying this route as well, sorry. The RNAV 15 Zulu chart, there are 2 sets of MDAs for VNAV LNAV. Could you explain that if you have a chance? Yeah, that's a great question. That's a really good question. Let's have a look. I'll answer that question, then I'm doing the merch, and then we'll set ourselves up for the arrival. Now, I won't be doing the RNAV 15 Zulu. I'm going to be fussy and do the 3-3 localizer approach. But let's bring up the charts. Lima, India, Charlie, Romeo. Yeah, really good question as to why there's a difference. And thanks for your subscription to Rince and to Kean Fields. So I forgot that wrong, but yeah, thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the stream if you are watching the stream. Okay, so why do we have VNAV, LNAV, minimas? Let's go to approach. And RMP Zulu 15. Here we go. LNAV slash VNAV, LNAV slash VNAV, LNAV, CDFA. So for a non-precision approach, which is what an RNAV approach is, there's no vertical guidance. We just work it out ourselves using these distances and the coding. So the distances are done here, and the aircraft has the ability to fly that, and we monitor it and we check the altitudes as we come down. But there's no guidance from the ground. There's no ILS glide slope. It's not that clever, even though it looks a bit like an ILS when you fly it. Anyway, if you have an airplane that is capable of flying the vertical profile automatically, like we would, using what we call final app by pressing approach, and it flies in final app mode along the top, then you can use normally the LNAV VNAV minima. There are some occasions where you can't use that minima, where maybe the temperature is too cold. There's often there is a temperature limit on all of these, where LNAV VNAV not authorized below -45. Now that's very cold, actually. That's pretty good. But what that means is if it's too cold, this vertical profile won't work, because this altitude, 2,540 feet altitude, when it's 30 degrees outside, is not the same as 2,540 feet when it's -40 degrees outside. The air is more dense, so you'll actually be lower. When it's colder, you'll be lower. So you'd have to start correcting those altitudes with your own corrections to make sure you're actually at a safe altitude. Now, they work down to a limit. The limit's set, and in this case, it's -45, which is ridiculously cold, really, isn't it? Especially for where we are in Reggio Calabria. But that's why you have the LNAV minima. It's higher because you can't... Actually, it's not... Well, it is a bit higher than the, let's see, 650 to 740. It's higher because it's not as accurate in theory. This will mean you're flying those altitudes yourself, you're correcting them slightly, and you're trying to do a continuous descent final approach, CDFA, down to 740 feet. So that's the theory behind it. It is a little bit confusing, so yeah, do feel free to ask again if you want to. But thanks for your subscription to Jimmy Young and Safek. Difference between LNAV, BNAV, says Darian Naro. So LNAV is lateral navigation. It just means you put the airplane into a lateral navigation mode and let it fly the lateral path, which will be this line here. And the vertical mode, you're going to use vertical speed, or in the Airbus, we would definitely use... Oh, there's a wind change. Flight path angle, because that's much easier. And I'll show you why in a minute. We're going to do a non-precision approach this flight. So the approach we're going to do is, it would definitely be non-precision, because we're not going to have vertical guidance ourselves. And thank you for the subscription to Jimmy, if I didn't say, and anyone else I may have missed. Sheila, thanks for coming along. I hope you're enjoying the stream. So that's the reason why there's just a difference between the two things, and typically LNAV VNAV is better. It's more accurate because you've got the aeroplane following vertical guidance as well. But if you're going to use just LNAV, lateral navigation, then you'll be flying it in, like I say, vertical speed and trying to follow these altitudes, which is something we do practice and train, absolutely. And it's what we're going to do today for a bit of fun. I don't think I've done a localizer only approach on the channel, so I'm sort of looking forward to that as something different to talk about. Right, so we'll get ourselves leveled off, I think. How much further we got? Let's put in the runway, limited to Charlie Romeo, landing on runway 33, 289. Yeah, we got a bit of space. Excellent. Cam A321, thanks for the explanation. I was actually asking about the two LNAV sets of MDAs. My mistake. I do apologise, Cam. So, what this is, there's two sets. The reason there's two sets is because the minimum missed approach climb gradient, MACG. This is quite common in airports with terrain, and there is obviously terrain very close on the missed approach to this runway. What is the missed approach climb? 3,000, then right turn. Interesting. But there. So, effectively, because there's terrain here, as you can see on that chart, you need to be able to... let's turn the seatbelts off as well, actually. Passengers would be definitely calling you up by now to use the toilets. you need to be able to climb at 4.2% to use the lower minima. If you can't, let's say you're on a single engine or something like that, in fact, ignore that, these will be based on single engine climb performance. If on a single engine you can't climb at 4.2%, oh, there's thunderstorms out there. We had this last time, I think, in X-Plane. It kept giving me a heart attack as we were flying along. Yeah, so the if you can't make 4.2% on the single engine go around, then you'd need to use this minima, which is higher. And the reason that is because by starting from higher up, you have more time to get above that terrain. So that's why there's two sets. So you can see this one is only 2.5% required, so it's a less climb gradient required. So it's higher minima, but it means more aeroplanes can do it, or if you were too heavy, you might use this one. The reason it's based on single engine is this all has to work even if an engine fails on the approach. So that's why it's done like that. Here we go, leveling off then, speed out to star. Let's do our usual. TCAS can go to below, oh, not above, below. Give ourselves a check of the systems pages. Engines looking good. Bleed looking good. Excellent. Fuel, we've got 7 tons on board. Great. We burnt 1.6, so that's 8.6, which is what we started with. So no major leaks there. APU cabin 20 degrees. A bit cold for me in the flight deck. I'll warm it up a bit. Passengers usually like somewhere 20 to 20. 23 probably be too hot. It's amazing. It does tend to be easier to keep it a bit cooler. No worries at all, Cam. Alexander is going to have dinner. Yeah, I always stream over dinner time, but we'll see you for the landing, Alex. Absolutely. Thanks for coming along. The weather radar on the navigation display doesn't really work on the ToLiss, I'm afraid. It's a bit ground color suppression auto. Let's try, but I've never really made it do much weather and turbulence. You'd have WX plus T. You want the turbulence as well. Okay, where is our descent point? Looking like, have we got a bit of time? Excellent. Looking all right. So let's get ourselves bit more merch, shall we? Why not? And I'm going to set it up into the chat. But do forgive me, this has been a really new experience. I've really struggled, so I hope I do this right. So if the whole stream collapses any moment, that's because I've made a mess of it. Let me see. So what I'm going to do first is enable it all onto the channel. Let's see if it appears for you guys. I don't know if it will. And we can go to charts. So you've seen the mug. We've also got, and this is just a couple of things to start off with for you guys, a sticker set. So, we are going to do it through Avitab. I did think about doing something clever, but I haven't managed. So this is one big sticker, and then if you have a guillotine at home or anything like that you can slice things accurately, then you can slice it into 3, have them as separate, or if you're really careful, you can cut around and use these separately on their own. Obviously you can cut out the aeroplane and use that as a sticker somewhere. You can change the colour of the backgrounds as well, so you can choose one that you like. This is just the one that I got. Again, I made sure we had a sample of the ones that we're selling today to make sure we know that it works. So there you go. So that could just be a bit of fun if you want to put some stickers, I don't know, around your house or on something, or on your joystick when you're Airbus flying. It's the Simx, obviously, the livery we were using, the CFM engines. All done by my graphic designer who does all my thumbnails as well, so a lot of work has gone into it. You've got a nice picture of the tail down here with the manta on it, and even the little blue accent that we use to try and keep the bottom of the tail level, and obviously the YouTube logo there on the left. So yeah, so it comes in 2 sizes, and you can choose the colour on the background. So that's the sticker set. Finally then, have we done the mug? Just to remind you what that looks like. There's the front. So that is going to be facing away if you're right-handed, I suppose. Doesn't really matter. You can drink whichever way you want. I constantly swap hands with the mug. So yeah, 320 Simpilot logo again. There's a thunder and lightning. Always ready. I don't X-Plane continuously adds thunder and lightning, it seems. Got a tailwind today, unusually. Yeah, so that's that. With the 320 Simpilot logo there, you can change the colour of the mug. And alternatively, on the other side, we have, again, the tail fin. Which, yeah, I really like that. I really like the mug, actually. It's it came out I'm quite happy with it. Alan doesn't leave for dinner. Wife brings up on the tray, tucking into full Sunday roast. Excellent, Sunday roast, fantastic. You're making me hungry as ever when I do my stream. So there you go. So those are available, and we have one last thing for you. As you've probably seen, t-shirt. There is a t-shirt, so let me know what you guys think about all of this stuff. But here it is. So it's not a great photo. It's really hard to take a photo of a t-shirt, especially when you don't have a studio or lighting or anything. And I did these sort of as it was getting gloomy today. So you have the crest sort of logo here with the tail fin, the Simx tail, the Manta tail there. And again, a variety of colours. This is the premium t-shirt, so Teespring calls it. I have this product, so I got one at home to make sure it all worked. So yeah, you get that logo there with the tail, which I think is quite small, quite subtle, and then you can go to the back and you get a less subtle, full span picture of the 321 with the registration. Something has changed since this picture. The registration doesn't glow like that. It's just printed sort of more 2D. We didn't like the glow so much, and there's a slight edit on the tail, but yeah, so that is also available, and this will all be, it is all available, let me check, it should be available as of now. So what I'm going to do is just check. Yeah, I think you guys can go visit the store, so I'm going to put the store into the chat. It will eventually appear on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to try and pin a message. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, got that wrong already. I told you this wouldn't work very well. Gross and Moon wants a hood with a minimal design. Okay, yeah. So there's more designs to come. This is just a starting point, and hopefully it's yeah. Well, give me feedback, guys, and we'll keep working on it. Nothing glows in the dark, I'm afraid. It just looks like it is there. So. You might hear my keyboards clattering away. I try not to do things like this on stream, but here we go. And I'm going to really hope this link works for you guys. Not before I accidentally disconnect from VATSIM as well. Okay, so I've pinned a message, fingers crossed. You can follow that link. Let me know if it works for you guys. Variety of colours available, like I said. So you choose. We selected the colours that we thought looked good on the website, but we have only got these ones at home. But yeah, you can swap around as you see fit, and hopefully that link will take you to the storefront page. Oh dear, yeah, that didn't work at all, did it? Hold on. That's embarrassing. Let's remove that message. Let's try that again. Right. Yeah, what's its T-spring? No, is that not working? Is that not working for anyone? Let me... Yeah, let's see. I'm just... Hold on, guys. Bear with me. I'm just going to fiddle with something, see if I can get it to work. Okay, guys. Just testing something here. Sorry about that. Doo-doo would be awesome. Okay, yeah, yeah, the doo-doo and some of the emoji could make their way into some stuff as well. We're going for sort of a slightly more subtle look on the first wave anyway. It's been good fun to design, but and we did design, you know, we came up with some different logos. These are individual pieces of art, I suppose, not art, but you know what I mean. Well, I suppose art, you could say. They were drawn and made specifically for this purpose. They're not just taken straight off the channel. Let's see, does this work? Okay, guys, let me know if that one works. Ah, I see. I knew I'd be hopeless at this. Obviously, you don't have to buy something, but if you do, let me know at least if the link works. That would be great. So, yeah, there you go. We said we'd do it. We managed. I hope you enjoy it. Looks like we're getting past these thunderstorms now. Time to get set up. Link's working. Excellent. Great news. Thanks very much, Hayden. You might start hearing the cat complaining more and more. Success! Brilliant. Yeah, the pink and white colour on the website is pretty extreme. I'm not sure. I might edit the look of the store to something more manageable. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. Absolutely, the cat has made it. Yeah, well, as you did hear a meow, she is a very vocal cat. She was much more vocal in the summer, but as we moved into winter, she's a bit more content to sit on the computer and get fur into it than complain into the microphone, which is what she used to do all summer. Right, that's it now. Time to get ready for our arrival. So, what can I tell you about Reggio Calabria? It was originally a military airport. We can't go anywhere without some Wikipedia facts, obviously. That is a requirement, so let's get those out of the way. Then we can start briefing. Yeah, originally a military airport in 1939 it was built. It serves a region of about 1.2 million people. It's called Reggio Calabria because, of course, it's the town nearby is Reggio, and Calabria is the region. So there is a town called Reggio Calabria because that's the region it's in. There's not many other airports around there, but certainly it does have Alitalia nearly pulled out of the entire route to this airport a couple of years ago, but then they took that back and carried on. They nearly cancelled everything because they said it was unprofitable. You probably remember Alitalia was going through a big transformation back then. I'm getting some notifications, so it sounds like some of you guys are going to the store. Is that? Sorry guys, it's not appearing in the chat. So let me have a look. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, and let me see. I'm going to have the chat up live. I might see it this time now. Sorry about that. So thank you very much. Cat Matrix 21 bought a mug. I can see that. No worries. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, just a bit of fun. Some guys asked, so I thought you do that. I'll put it up for you guys, and also it does support the channel. So thanks very much for taking the time to do that. Right, what else can I tell you? It's called Aeroporto dello Stretto. Strait of Messina is what it's based on. So it's Airport of the Strait as well. So there we go. Video Man Chris has bought a t-shirt as well. Brilliant. It's available in US and Europe, so you can get either or. Make sure you have your region selected when you go onto the Teespring website. I'm not overly familiar with the Teespring website. It did cause me some issues setting things up. Interesting thing about Reggio Calabria, it's got a very modern urban system considering its age of the town. So it's quite modern, more grid style system, I believe. Got infrastructure and so on. Better than you'd expect for a town of its nature, because of course a lot of towns, just like in the UK, are built around sort of narrow pathways and horse and cart style things, not metro systems and buses. But the reason is there was an earthquake, a pretty devastating earthquake back in 1908, and then they rebuilt themselves after that. So it means it actually feels a bit more modern, I think, than some of the other towns. But I've never been, and certainly I've looked it up and looked at some of the pictures of the place. I really do want to go to this place. It looks fantastic. Something exciting about it is we're obviously flying down to near Mount Etna. The volcano is very nearby. Largest, or one of the world's most active volcanoes, certainly one of the largest in Europe. I think it's only beaten by the volcano in Tenerife. 10,912 feet up. So a seriously tall volcano. I'm glad my Italian vaccination is working, Vic Sango. Excellent, good to know. Right. There we go. So there you go. some facts for you guys that you didn't ask for ever. But that's what we have. Let's start to talk about our arrival then. We're going to do it on the tablet because it's hopelessly complex. Otherwise, to discuss, we'll have fill the screen, airports. Not doing that one. So let's bring up the star first of all to see what we're doing, which is the arrival. The arrival we've gone for is the Big Air 1 X-ray. Here we go. Right. Buy a bigger. So interestingly, we've flown quite far west, and then we're going to head down to Londa. That's fine. Put this into plan mode. Nothing too exciting about the arrival. Just going to check it's all in here. Londa, and from Londa there doesn't seem to be a whole lot. There is a holding point there, so you'd probably enter that just in case air traffic didn't clear you for the further. And then we're going to go to approach, and I'm going to do the localizer alpha. I don't think this covers from Londa though. Oh, there it is, Londa. It's using the missed approach. Unusually difficult to try and piece this all together, but I'm going to do this to make my life simple today. We're going to go from Londa to the Romeo Charlie Alpha, which is the VOR insert, and then we're going to hold there. After that, Romeo Charlie Alpha, there is a whole outbound sequence here, and you can see that. So what we're going to do is from the hold here, is where we'll actually hold, or we might be able to go straight outbound. We're going to go outbound to track 174 degrees, pretty much south, slightly off south. We're going to head all the way out to 11 miles out, which is out down here, kilo, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Yep, so that kilo is 11 miles. The 174, so that's the radial 174 at kilo, 11 miles out. At which point, if I go to constraint, it will help as well. We need to be at 3,000 feet. We'll make our right turn back round, intercept the localizer, and fly inbound on the localizer approach. Once we are inbound, and remember we're only using the localizer, so I can only use the lock button. So we are still going to use the localizer part of the ILS. At 8.1 miles, we're going to start our descent. Slightly steeper descent, a 3.5 degree descent, so I'm going to make sure I'm pretty much fully configured. You have to be anyway for this sort of approach. And by this sort of approach, I mean a flight path angle approach. We're going to descend using flight path angle. So it won't say vertical speed, it will say FPA. It will look like that, FPA, and we're going to select in there, it'll be 3 degrees. Let's put it back. Check we're still in the right modes. We are. Then we're going to descend down, following these altitudes, being very careful because they're based not on the DME for the localizer, because the DME for the localizer is all wrong. It'll be somewhere out here, I suppose. It's certainly not at the runway. We're going to use the DME for the VOR, the Romeo Charlie Alpha VOR, which is here. Someone bought a mug. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. Apologies if I missed the merch callouts. I thought it would type it into the chat, but it doesn't seem to be bothering. Yeah, so that is the rough plan. So what's challenging about this? Well, there's severe restrictions on our descent because of the terrain. Terrain is obviously an issue here. We have an 8,500 foot MSA in this area based on the Romeo Charlie Alpha. So really high MSAs. So we're going to leave the hold, head outbound, and then we can only start descending as we get past this D7. So overhead the NDB, we can descend from 5 to 4. After 7 miles, we can go from 4 to 3, and that's our platform altitude for the approach. We're then going to turn around inbound, like I said, get ourselves fully configured, because we're going to use the flight path angle mode in the Airbus. Now the flight path angle mode will fly at an angle. So the magic is, someone bought a sticker, thanks very much. I hope you enjoy it. The magic is you can just set 3.5 degrees and it will fly. The downside is, if I set 3.5 degrees but I haven't got all my flaps out, if I then, whilst it's flying 3.5 degree descent down here, if I then, and someone bought a t-shirt, says with kayak. Excellent, I hope you enjoy it. If we're then descending down at 3.5 degrees and I put more flap out, the airplane will balloon slightly over its altitude. It tries not to, but it will a bit, and we'll get a bit high, and it won't then correct back onto the profile because it's got no profile to follow because we're doing that ourselves. So you want to be fully configured as best you can. So basically we're going to go to 8.4 miles, add 0.3 miles to your descent point. So 8.1, I'm going to, at 8.4, so slightly here, I'm going to pull the 3.5. As soon as I start down, I'll put out flat full, and that will be the easiest way. And then we can monitor the altitude from there. We will get some guidance because we'll see the little green donuts, which I talk about in my when to descend video. That will appear once we sequence the approach. So that's a bit of a look at it. So next we need to think about how can we make this happen? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to be in the hold here, or we're going to fly straight in and then go straight out. It'll be quite easy to go straight outbound because, as you can see, our route is pretty much 174, so we won't waste time in the hold if we don't have to. But I need to be, as you can see, minimum holding altitude on track entry 6,000. What it means by that is if we are coming in on this track, which we pretty much will be, we can be at 6,000 feet. It's safe. If we do an omnidirectional entry, because you can enter a hold obviously from, say, this angle, we need to be minimum 6,500. An example of that would be, let's say we came in from the west, you'd actually end up having to go potentially slightly through, out, and around like that, and the risk is you'll go through here, so you'll be in this region for a little bit, so you need to be a bit higher for the terrain. Video man Chris, that looks like a sticker that I just bought anonymous, yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for doing that. Right, so that means we need to be, we can be 6,000. I'll probably do 6.5. Once we're outbound, we need to stay at 6.5 or 6,000, sorry, as soon as we're outbound, and then after we can descend to 5,000. Sorry, as soon as we're past the VOR on the 174, then we can go from 6 to 5. There we go. Not very clear on these charts, is it? Once we get down to 5, we need to go past the outer marker or the locator, so that is the NDB in this case, Romeo Charlie Alpha. So already there's some things we need. We need the VOR, so I'm going to tune it now. Romeo Charlie Alpha. Make sure you get the right one. 111.0. We have. It has a DME, and I'm going to use it to fly track 174. 174. So when I'm heading outbound, what I'm going to do is, on my navigation display, I'm going to go to VOR mode, and now I've selected course 174, and we've got our needle, the white thing is the needle, and the blue line will be a course bar, which is the easiest way to follow up with VOR. In a lot of aircraft, you could actually press VOR lock mode, something like that, and it will fly the radial, but it doesn't on the Airbus, so we're just going to do it in track, which is dead easy. I'll show you how. Essentially, we need to make sure that our green diamond, which is our track, overlays the correct track here. If we're off track, so we're left or right, and I'll talk about this as we do it, don't worry, then we need to adjust that green diamond left or right to make sure we get onto it. I've been thinking about doing a video about tracking needles and radials, so I may do that in the near future. Sorry for the Teespring link, Alan. Hopefully his advised one works. Let me adjust it. Oh, no, not managing. I'm not going to fiddle with that. I'm going to make a mess of everything, I'm sure. I'm going to stop stop fiddling with the chats. Yeah, we are up to 4 screens, exactly. We're doing our best. So, where was I? So we're going to track this using the track. It's all great. It's all displayed really easily. So I'm going to make sure we're in track FPA, this mode, as we leave the VOR. Then I'm going to make sure we're configured. So as we leave, we talked about how we want to be configured once we've turned around here. We've also got a speed limit. We don't want to be flying around too fast, especially out on these radial turns. I can see there's a maximum turn radius as well. So as you can see, circling 180 knots. So I'm going to be slower than 180. I expect to be flap to 160 knots at the fastest as we come around here. So at 11 miles on the VOR, I'll make my right turn all the way back round to an intercept heading. I'm going to use an intercept heading of 347 degrees, or a track of 347, which would be a 30-degree cut, which is pretty standard sort of intercept for an IS, 30 degrees. You don't normally do more than that. Now, of course, I am making this difficult for myself. I could, if I go to plan, you can see I could just let it fly this green line all the way around and in, but I don't want to. I want to do this the proper way, using some navigation aids. So we've got our VOR tuned for this section to fly outbound. We're also going to go over the NDB, and once we do that, we know we can descend. So let's tune the NDB, confusingly called the exact same thing, Romeo Charlie Alpha. Now this airplane has two NDBs. ADF is NDB. It's the NDB receiver, effectively. Now, I don't see many Airbuses with two. NDBs are used very rarely. They're not used for position fixing very often either. So it's very unusual for anyone to bother paying for two. But we have two today. We're a well-equipped Manta aircraft. So there you go. Romeo Charlie Alpha. It's tuned in there. 325, check the frequency, because you can't rely on the auto-tuning. You want to make sure. Good. Same with the VOR. I only need one VOR, so let's tune it in the other side as well. Romeo Charlie Alpha 174. There it is. So we're going to follow this track. I've got the track set up in here. We'll fly outbound on this 174, which is really great, and then we'll make our right turn round. When we do make the right turn, I'm going to move this to LS to see my ILS. You'll notice that the ILS 2 is displayed on the captain's side, and the ILS 1 is displayed on the FO side. If I go to LS, it actually swaps over. The PFD, however, will come from your own side. So it's a way that you can use either ILS channel. Let's say one was failed, you still have a source of the ILS in the aircraft. So it's a really little known thing anyway on the Airbus. It took me a long time before I found out this. So what we're going to do is, obviously we'll have to bring up the LS button here to make sure we have that ready when we get down there, and yeah, we'll have the LS on here. Fly the localizer, and then make sure we use the correct DME. As I said, there is a DME on the localizer. I'm not sure if there is in the real one. It says lock DME. So anyway, in X-Plane it does give us a DME reading. So we make sure we do not follow the DME reading here. It's not accurate, it's not useful. We follow the VOR reading here. Are we that close? Are we 138 miles away? I hope not. Yes, we are. It's time to go down soon. So there we go. So that's a bit of a plan. Some nav aids actually tuned up, unusually for us. Oh yeah, let's put in that ILS. Let's just make sure it does tune. 1093. Now I hope this works. I did try. Oh, I need to tune, put in the frequency, and then it can make sure it gets the course. Not a database. You're kidding. It was earlier. What have I done wrong here? Try again. Now that's a bit annoying, because that definitely worked earlier. It's not a problem. We'll be able to tune it ourselves anyway. Let me just check I have the right arrival in here. So we've got Big X1 X-ray via Romeo Charlie Alpha, Lock 33 Alpha. Lock Alpha 33. Odd. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I'm going to just leave it a bit and see if it tunes it as we get closer. Otherwise, I'll tune it myself with the course. Victor Tango would like a video on tracking. I always get confused, pulling and pushing. Yeah, okay, no worries. That's something I'll do in the future. Hayden says they can't select a size for t-shirt merch. That's a shame. It should work. It should be possible. Alexander Galfano says, how do I calculate V1, VR, V2? Well, you need to have some sort of performance computer for that. So in ToLiss, it's really easy. You can go plugins, ToLiss, ICS, loading perf, and then you put it in there. Although today it's just showing the METAR. Which reminds me, I need to put that in. If you're using Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can actually go to the perf takeoff page, select next to the speed, and then press it again, and it will put in the correct speed. If you're using the fly-by-wire mod, that works only. Okay, let's make sure we have the airport weather in. Refresh. 1705. Yeah, it's a bit of a tailwind, which is not what you'd want to do this, so I may have to adjust the weather slightly, seeing as there's no, I don't think there's any air traffic control anyway. Performance, QNH 1008. 15 degrees. Nice day there, very nice day. Yeah, it looks like a beautiful part of the world. 170 at 5. Minima, yeah, very important. Minima of 1630. You'll notice as well, oh, it's not a decision height. 16:30. Anonymous Border Mug. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoy the mugs. 16:30 goes in there. It says not authorised east of airport, but obviously we do not want to go east of the airport because there's the terrain. It also says sealing required. Sealing required. So if you're doing a Category 1 ILS and you're using a minimum MDA, for example, of 250 feet, if the cloud's base is 150 feet, but the RVR, the runway visual range, is high enough, then you'd actually be okay to carry on, because we only worry about the visual range. The theory is, even if the cloud reaches the ground, if the visual range is good enough, then you'll see the lights. It's like you're in the cloud still, so it doesn't matter what the cloud base is. Now that's not the case here, because the ceiling is required. We need the cloud base to be reported as above 1630 feet. 1535 above the airport. And that's an important difference actually, because the cloud base will be reported above the airfield, so that can make a difference. So we need it to be above 1535 on the METAR, few 3000, so we can do it. Brilliant. And visibility is great. Finally then, the exciting bit, and why I had that Kai-Tak reference, is this final turn. We're going to end up following a visual manoeuvre to runway 33. Why on earth is our descent point so far away? Oh, we're only at 29,000 feet, I suppose, but it's also not drawn one, so we might have to make up our descent. It seems to be slightly confused. It is an out cruise, yeah. Very odd. Anyway, we'll manage that as we need to. So we're going to go through the NDB, then once we're within 5 miles of the VOR, which is where we're getting our distance from, the Romeo Charlie Alpha, you'll see that it says lock unusable for a coupled approach inside 5 RCA, or unusable after overflying NDB inbound. So at that point I'm going to disconnect the autopilot, turn off the flight directors, set the track for the runway 331, and then I'm going to fly forwards, continuing the 3.5 degree descent, make a left turn round onto the runway. So why is it 3.5 degrees? Well, I'm assuming it's because of this terrain here, so it has to be a steeper approach to keep us above the terrain, because the terrain is underneath us, so we're slightly higher by being a bit steeper down to the runway. If we go around, quite a nice go around, then essentially follow the localizer for a bit, proceed to the NDB, after the NDB, left turn. It says then climb 4,000 and turn left direct to the VOR, but it says the VOR to be reached not above 3,000. So what I'm actually going to do is set 3,000 as the go around altitude. Put that in for approach, 3,000. Engine acceleration. I know why it's not working. It's because the ToLiss doesn't calculate distances when there's a discontinuity. Now I need the discontinuity because I'm not going to fly a lot of this stuff. I'm going to clear it out, in fact. So we're not going to get a top of descent. Now that's not true. The real aircraft would actually work. But let's just see. That should be very basically what we need. Excellent. Right, so how far are we from Romeo Charlie Alpha? Let's put that in actually. I want to be Romeo Charlie Alpha at 6,000 feet. Romeo Charlie Alpha. Make sure we get the right one. 93 miles, so we're at 29,000 feet. Yeah, we'll descend in about, give it another 10 miles, and down we go. Yeah, so we're going to fly around this turn, and you'll notice there's loads of warnings about this airport. Loads of warnings. If you go to the airport briefing, it's a great find, Matteo. Thanks for finding this one. Hayden, border mug as well. Thank you very much, Hayden. I hope you enjoy it. Not sure what the little note says, but yeah, thank you. If you go to airport and airport briefing, and it's full of warnings about specific restrictions. I would imagine this would be what's called a Category C airport, although I'm not certain on that. That would require extra training for the pilot in command to fly. It would almost certainly be a captain's only landing. And as you can see here, you've got to have qualifications to actually continue an approach that's unstable. Unstable means that below 1,000 feet, we're not going to be on that centre line. You know, we're still going to have to do some serious turns because the runway alignment is a height lower than 300 feet above the aerodrome, which is what categorises it as an unstable approach. In strong winds, there could be high angle of bank required, so another reason it's a bit unstable. And then there's the upslope, so there's weird optical illusions, and there's the south. There's all sorts of problems with that terrain. So yeah, so full of warnings about that. And then my favourite thing, there is a warning somewhere. In the absence of volcanic ash cloud, the main peculiarities of the airport are. So this is a list of warnings for the airport. that only apply if there's no volcanic ash, because the volcanic ash would be even bigger of a problem, plus all of these, which I think is great fun. So if we go back to our charts. Oh, not that one. Here we go. Ash cloud sectors. Here we go. Look at this. Mount Etna, it's just off to the west of us. And there are all these different sectors, and there'll be reports as to where ash is featured and so on. So imagine that. Now we're going to treat it as if there's none today, but there's our little airport up there. So yeah, not far away. If it reaches 22 miles out, which it could, you know, we had the ash cloud that covered most of Europe. So yeah, so that's just one of the many things here. Right, I think time to start down. Losing a bit of light, so I may have to adjust that slightly. I'm going to put in 100 to start with. Let's do a thrust idle open descent. Down we go. Bring the terrain back up. Jumping into the chat. Time Walker is in Norway. What would I put for the shipping? I'm really sorry, Time Walker. I really know very little about Teespring. If you're not sure, I recommend waiting. And I'll have a look and try and find out. Or yeah, don't rush into anything, because I'm not entirely sure how it would work with all the different European countries. It's slightly confusing, I will say, that website. So yeah, so sorry about that. Alan Story, I hope you enjoy your mug. Excellent. We need 97 miles to descend and slow down. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be 97 track miles, Video Man Chris. So, if I put in the airport, Lima, India, Charlie, Romeo, 33, we've got 70 miles, but then we're also going to fly past the airport. If I go here. We're going to go about 11 miles past and then 11 miles back in. So, this says 68. I think we've got 78, about 88 miles. So yeah, about 90 from here. Interestingly, it's also activated the approach phase. It seems to be very confused because you can see it reducing that speed. So if we try and slow descend at green dot, we will never descend. So this relies on a 3-degree descent, as I said, that calculation we just did, which Chris absolutely got. So I'm glad that worked for you, Chris. So what vertical speed do we need? Well, ground speed is going to be faster. It's going to be about 400. So we need 2,000 feet per minute. But I want to do it a bit faster. Let's do 260 knots for now. 270 actually is quite a standard descent speed in the Airbus. Like I say, up here the whole 3-degree thing isn't quite as relevant. You'll descend faster for a bit and then slower a bit as you get lower. So a sort of standard descent speed should work out for you. Medium autobrake is what we're going to need to do this approach, because it is not the longest runway in the world. I'll just show you the airport itself. Airport. There it is. It's a 2,000 meter runway. So we'll do flat fall, medium automatic landing, maximum reverse. We'll land, roll out, and then a bit of a backtrack, I suppose. Back down, Bravo into here. I'm not going to bring up the parking stands. I'll do that once we're taxiing the other way. But let's have a quick look at them now, and then I can close that chart. Just there's too many charts. So backtrack. Not going into the GA apron, please. We'll go Bravo, main apron. Yeah, there's only 4 stands. Small airport. Good fun. You can see as well, similar to Kai-Tak, we have lead-in lights, which I do not have working in the simulator, sadly. So as we can see, I'm doing 385 knots, but I'm not descending fast enough, so let's increase that speed a bit. Let's put 280. Right, let's just see what I've missed in the chat. Again, I do apologise if I missed anything. One thing I can think for the... Dio42, thank you very much for your $20 description. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm assuming that's Australian dollars. Is that right, Dio? But would love to buy a mug. However, the shipping would be the shipping is high. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Especially if that's to Australia. I think it's mostly Europe and America they serve. So I am sorry about that. If it's popular enough, we'll start thinking of our own ways of doing these things. But for now, you know, it's just this is the way it's worked for us. But Thank you for the videos and streams. Very entertaining, helpful. I'm glad. Thank you, Died, and much appreciated. I've become very invested in flight sim because of them. Excellent. I'm really glad. It's always great when people are getting more out of their flight simulators because of it. As I always say in my introductions, it's to give extra context, I suppose, for home simulations. But it's always much more enjoyable when we get a bit of a chance to understand what we're doing. So thank you, Died. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for contributing to the channel. Right. Let's sort this out. So there's Mount Etna. Look at that. It is there. I thought about going to visit it, but every time I try and do scenic tours, I end up messing up the distances. I'm assuming that's it. 11,000 feet of goodness. Let's just move the time back a little bit. I thought I timed it right. Stand by, guys. Keep it daylight. Phew. We got away with it. We got away with it. Okay, so we're going to level off at 10,000 feet at just past Londa, and it gets really easy now because I can see Romeo Charlie Alpha. I know that it's safe to do down to 6,000 feet there because we're going straight in onto that. Well, we're not quite coming in on that track, the perfect track, I suppose. So let's do it properly. Let's do 6,500 feet, and let's set the QNH. So we're going down to an altitude QNH 1008. Is that right? That does seem low. 1008 it is. And now I can see we're going to level off 6,500 just at the Romeo Charlie Alpha and head outbound. Good place to be. So I'm going to leave it as it is. It's flashing. It shouldn't be flashing. You're allowed to set the QNH now because you're descending towards it. You'd also set the transition level in here, 50. Okay, well we're going to put it at 100. We're going to transition earlier than that. There we go. That's probably why it's flashing, because we were going down to an altitude when it thought we should be at a flight level still. Flywick says, I watch you like every day. Really informative about Airbus system. Thanks. No worries, Flywick. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for saying so. I'm really glad you've enjoyed the videos. Okay, so QNH is 1008. It's vitally important if you do a non-precision approach without vertical guidance. It's always important, but it's so important here because we are going to base our entire separation from the ground purely on our altitude readings for the whole approach. There'll be no glide slope to catch us if we're wrong. We are just going to read off this and look at this. So if this is wrong, the whole thing will be wrong, will be too low or too high or whatever it is. Obviously, too low being worst case. So yeah, really important. How are we doing with fuel? 5.4 tons of fuel, plenty of fuel to make this approach, and then try again if we need to, which was the idea. God, yeah, there's that volcano. One of the most active in the world. Amazing. So the only problem we've got is we're going to arrive at Romeo Charlie Alpha at 280 knots. It's too fast, really. So, strangely, the way to fix that is I can accelerate now, as long as you're in thrust idle, so you're in an open descent, which I am, thrust open descent. If I accelerate now, we'll level off earlier because there's more drag on the airplane, and that way we can level off and then slow down. So that's what we're going to do. An interesting question's come up. Wobbles says, if the captain falls ill, would the plane divert to an airport the first officer could land at? That would depend on the situation, but yes. Now, something to consider is the first officer flies usually every other sector. So your co-pilot, your captain are all qualified in terms of actual flying, the same thing. The captain signs all the paperwork. They are ultimately responsible. They do a lot of decision-making style work, managing people, managing the situation, overall picture stuff, communicating with company, all sorts of other things. The first officer is more than capable on any of your flights to navigate around, to fly an approach, to fly an instrument approach, to hand fly, to deal with malfunctions, all of that sort of thing. But that's the two roles of actual pure flying are shared pretty evenly, but the captain has the responsibility and the assessment of the operation and thinking about the company and the safety and the crew and all of that sort of thing as well. I haven't seen Alexander, so we'll try and keep F1 spoilers out of the chat. If anyone knows the result, just because I am going to watch the highlights on our TV that are free. I don't have the actual channels for the Formula 1, so I haven't seen it live. I don't get to watch it until 9 o'clock tonight. Right. Let's zoom in. Okay, so levelling off, that'll be fine. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed your dinner, Alexander. I hope it was good. Right, 10,000 feet. Let's get those landing lights on. Could be all sorts of airplanes out having a nice Sunday afternoon flight. Let's get the seatbelt signs on. We don't want to have to forget about that because we're going to get very busy now, so we're going to move as much workload as we can to as early as we can so we don't have to deal with it later. We've got the LS button up because we're going to use the localizer. The glide slope shouldn't display anything. You'll notice as well it says 18. Again, I don't think you'd get a DME reading. I don't think so, but there it is. We've got the runway here. So the key thing for this approach is that we continue our descent. We're going to have a high rate of descent. Normally about, let's say, 700-800 feet per minute. In this case, 3.5 degrees descent, slightly steeper, so we can expect to be slightly faster. 900 feet per minute would be quite normal. And yeah, talking about Kai Tak, obviously you're going to fly around here, offset localizer, take your left turn in towards the runway, and we don't want to go past, there's lighted checkerboards there, which I don't have, sadly. Matteo did say there's freeware scenery, which I really should have looked up, so I'm disappointed with myself. I should have looked that up. But anyway, we're going to manage either way, I hope. But yeah, it's a bit like Kai Tak, big checkerboard, which tells you where you're not flying past and where you need to fly your turn and follow those lead-in lights. Places like Madeira have lead-in lights. There's the airport. Lovely and visual day to do it. Now, it is perfectly possible, of course, to just be radar vectored out to intercept the localizer at 11 miles and then just fly down the localizer, as we've discussed. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to fly the full procedure because small airports like this, and I don't know what the real airport's like, but they may not have radar control. So if they don't have a radar where they can actually see your aircraft, then you're going to have to fly the full procedure, and you'll tell them where you are. So we'll say beacon outbound after we pass the VOR outbound, and then you could say intercept localizer at 11 miles, things like that, so that they know where you are on the procedure. And that's how they separate aeroplanes, because they know you're following the procedure, not just being radar vectored around the sky. Okay, last thing we're going to do before we get there, because I did mean to do that, is just adjust the weather slightly, manually configured. I just want it to be, we're landing onto 3-3, so let's just have a slight 5-knot wind from the left. Oh, let's give them some clouds, no worries. Okay, so 6,000 feet, manage the speed, let it slow down now. That is important, I should have done that sooner. We're going to go way too fast out of that hold. So let's get that speed brake out, we are too fast. You'll notice that it does actually have quite a fast holding speed, 280 knots. So it's surprisingly fast, really. Right, we're going to head outbound in a minute, so let's get ourselves ready. Let's go to the VOR, and I may disappear from the chat now, so I do apologise. Track FPA, and now that's on the 174 course. I've got the Romeo Charlie Alpha identified, and I'm going to put the NDB on the left needle, the green needle. That way I can see when I overfly the NDB, because this needle will spin round. So we've got the white needle is pointing at the Romeo Charlie Alpha, this white needle here. I can also see it on this screen, cheating slightly. So as it disappears, so there's the white needle disappeared because it's getting into the cone of confusion. It's too close to the VOR, you're above the VOR, so that it's not getting any signal. Just as the airplane makes its right turn, it's converted to a track. Let's go to track 174. Now we're leaving the VOR, so I can descend down to an altitude of 5,000 feet. First side of this open descent, let's put out flap 1. Speeds are good, flaps to 1. And we're tracking 174. Now you can see the white needle, we're 2 miles away now from the VOR. It says speed brake, but we're in thrust idle, so that will work out. Just put that there for now. Let's put out flap 2. That'll get us the most drag. And as I said, we can keep doing a bit faster for now, and that will get us to descend. So you can see that blue line is coming in, but we're not in the right place. We need to go a bit right. So I'm going to bring that to the right, the track 183. So now we're going to cut into this VOR slightly. You see that coming in. I'm going to do small corrections. That's probably a bit much, really, because we are so close. We're only 4 miles out from the VOR. Right, the next step is after the outer marker, which we're just passing over now because the NDB has disappeared, and there it is flashing as well. we can now descend down to 4,000 feet until 7 miles. So I'm going to put 4,000 feet in here. And let's do an FPA, manage speed. That's too steep. Let's bring that under control. Okay, so 4,000 feet. There you can see now we're getting onto that blue line and the white needle is aligning with it. So as soon as I'm on that blue line, I need to reset 174. If I don't, we'll keep flying this track and we'll keep going through it. So like I said, this course bar is really easy. It's off to the right, so I know I need to fly right to get to it. I'd say that's pretty good now, so let's bring it back to 174. There it is. Speed's reducing nicely. We've got flap 2 out. Soon we'll level at 4,000 feet. After 4,000 feet, we can descend to 3, so 7 miles out. We're 7 miles out, so I'm going to set 3,000 feet in the window. There it is. On the FO side, I'm going to select the arc just to give better situational awareness if we need it, and zoom in. Now, next event is at 11 miles, so let's keep it slowing down. Let's level off at 3,000 feet. Just keep that angle coming down and do 3 degrees for now. Now, here's the problem. The flight plan's not sequenced. It's, oh, it has. It's sequenced to the runway. Okay, no problem. I won't fiddle with it then. You've got to make sure it does sequence, otherwise the go-around won't be in there, but it's already tuned, or it already thinks we've reached the runway. It's not great, but that'll work, so I won't fiddle with that. 9 miles out, all looking good. 800 feet till we level off, and then we'll get ourselves ready to go. Good stuff. Let's just bring up the checklists. Right, there's an approach checklist. Briefing we've done. ECAM status checked. Seatbelts on. Barrow F1008 is set. MDADH we've got 1630. Engine mode select can be at norm. Let's bring up the AVI tab. I think that's going to be the easiest way for us today. So next event, 11 miles. Make our right turn onto 347 to intercept that localizer. Now we definitely want to get that speed brake in. Shouldn't have had it out all that time. It does give you the ECAM warning. Again, I always end up leaving the speed brake in the sim because in real life I'd have my hand on it to make sure I don't forget it. That way, if I try and reach to do something else, I'll realise my hand's taken up by the speed brake and I'll remember to put it away. 11 miles, let's turn right. Busy talking away. We're nice and slow. 347. About a 30-degree intercept. Now I'm going to swap to LS. And hopefully that'll bring us round to point in towards it. Really don't want to miss that turn. That's very important. So that wasn't great. Okay, so we're turning around now. We're going to get onto that intercept heading. Like I say, that's about a 30-degree intercept. 10, 20, 30. Which is pretty standard. Once I'm pointing inbound, so now we're tracking towards that localizer, I'm going to press lock. And on the PFD, we get lock blue. I don't need that NDB for now. Actually, no, I don't need the NDB because I'm going to base my distance on the 5 miles. So now we're pointing inbound, localizer's armed, 3,000 feet. When are we going to descend? Well, we said 8.1 on the Romeo Charlie Alpha. We're currently about 12. So at 9.1, I'm going to set the FPA ready in the window. That's why you want to be level for this stuff. You don't want to be doing it whilst you're descending. Just keep it really simple and slow. That's why we're right back on the speed. We're pretty configured. So at 9.1, I'm going to set the altitude in the window, but I won't pull flight path angle until 8.4, as we discussed. What I do want to do is get ready to configure, because we're going to descend soon. So let's put the gear down. The wind is pushing us slightly through, so I don't mind actually tweaking that slightly left to make sure we get to that localizer in time. So gear is down, arm the ground spoilers, put the ground lights on. Flaps can go to 3. It hasn't tuned it, has it? That's what's happened there. It has tuned it. No, it is tuned. Yeah, it's appearing. Okay. Interesting. I'm hoping it will connect soon. It's got the right course in there, got the right frequency. Course 015. I mean, that's slightly different. That's probably a difference in the magnetic variation. There we go. We're on to the localizer now. 9.3. So I said at 9.1, I'm going to set the altitude, and we're going to, as soon as we start down, set the flight path angle. So let's arm the flight path angle of 3.5. There it is. And at 8.4, we can pull. So I'm going to get ready to pull that. 8.6, 8.5, coming up. And finally, 8.4. Right, let's pull. FPA 3.5 down, which is correct. Flaps can go to full. Speed is checked. Flaps full. There we go. You can see us on that localizer. It's working out. It should be 017, but that's fine. And now we need to check this altitude. So at 7 miles, I want to be at 2570. Remember, that's this DME here. So 7 miles, 2570. Annoyingly, we've lost our green ball, which would work well. So 7 miles, 2570. Ever so slightly low, I'd say, if anything. 6 miles, 2190. Radio altimeter's come alive at the correct point, so that's a good backup that the QNH is correct of 1008. Now let's do the landing checklist before our 6 miles. So cabin is secured for the landing. Water thrust is in speed mode, as we've got up here. Going altitude is 3,000 feet to start with. Eco memo, landing the blue, we need to wait for that. Okay, 6 miles, 2190. 6 miles, 21. We're about 20 feet low, so I can move this to 3.3 for 1 mile and then reset it. Important that you set it back. Let's get rid of the chart.
2,000.
You can see it there, 1800 at 5 miles. Eco memo, landing. No blue, cabin is now secured. There's the runway, we're visual with that there. 5 miles, 1800, we're on profile, so I need to go back to 3.5 because that worked for us. We did 0.2 for 3 miles. Now we're within 5 miles now, so I've got to take out the autopilot. It's not suitable for a coupled approach. I'm going to put this to arc mode. I'm going to turn off the flight directors, and we're going to set the inbound track of 331. Track 331. There it is. Now, important that we keep that rate of descent. So we've got about 1,000, which is probably all right for now. Keep looking out the window. Keep a visual eye on. I don't want to go too low down, or we'll get a caution off this hill, which is quite big out the window. But again, it's all a balancing act now. It's annoying because it didn't sequence properly. We lose our green donut, which would give us all the clues. So my cheating. And we haven't got the lights. There should be some lights here in the real airport. There are. So let's try and balance this out to keep it sensible. Luckily, the go-around is tuned and the airport is tuned correctly there. Okay, just going to tweak it slightly left as the localizer is starting to drift a bit, but we're not relying too much on that because we've been flying a track this whole time. So we don't want to cut in because we're going to have real problems if we do that. About 800, let's keep it coming down. Now, we're not too worried about landing rates for this one. That's my excuse here, although it's far too late for excuses, obviously. 800, keep it coming down. Get that turn going then. It's hard without being able to see out the window, but here we go. As you can see, a nice low turn. Keep the rate of descent under control. 3 white, so keep it coming down, 1,000 feet per minute. Don't want to do any less than that for now. I need a bit more, I think. 1,100 should be fine. As you know, this is unstabilized. There's 2 whites to red, so try and get that back towards 3.5. Okay. Stabilize it. Yeah, all looks good. Rate of descent under control at 1,000, so slightly earlier flare than normal.
50, 40,
Get that flare in.
30, 20, retard, 10.
Hold it there, hold it there. Don't want to drift too long. Come on. Down you go. Ooh, that was not great. And F1 reverses out, and we'll take max reverse. Yeah, a bit of a float there. Right, through 70 knots, reverses to idle. Leave that brake in, taking all the strain. And there we go. Right, we made it down. Just let's put forward idle, auto brake released. And here we are in Calabria. Before I say it wrong. Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing approach. Let's get rid of the parking brake. It takes so much extra work to make it happen. You need so many things to be tuned, and that final is so quick. It happens so quickly. Right, let's do a backtrack. So to backtrack in the Airbus, let me think about this. We need to go slightly right. There's no turning pad here. It looks like quite a normal width runway. How do we do on the landing? Probably not particularly smooth, but it was a bit of a float, so that's not ideal. You're better off getting it down, to be honest, on a runway like this than floating, but there we go. What are we getting? 35, oh my goodness. Well, get ourselves over that line and swing it round. If we look outside, you'll see that we are well within the runway, and we'll get that nose round, probably onto the centre line. Fantastic. Yeah, great stuff. That technique is written in the Airbus manuals, actually, how to do that. It's quite funny. It's one of the first things you're taught when you learn to fly the Airbus. Felt the stress coming down there. Yeah, that is... I don't know why I do this on the streams. I seem to, like I say, always end up doing something wacky in the ToLiss. But yeah, it's quite an approach. So thanks, Matteo, for suggesting it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's just to show you that's what a Stu Green, thanks for your subscription. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you guys, get to see a bit of what the job can be. It's not all ILS to ILS. It can be things like that where total focus is needed. And you saw that there's no time really for chit chat, even from an hour before landing, because I missed a few things anyway with all my talking. And there's two of you. You need to be on the exact same page at all times, because I just did that myself. So that in some ways is harder, and doing a lot of things yourself is harder for pressing the switches and so on. But the plus side is I know what I'm thinking. So the downside is I might be thinking wrong. But as long as I'm thinking right, then doing it on your own in simulator at home is one thing. But in real life, you've got to do, both of you have got to have the exact same picture in your head about what you're doing. And that can be quite a challenge. So that would have been quite a long brief, I imagine, in real life. Like I say, I suspect you need extra training as well to come here. Right, let's get ourselves off the runway and go and park up and have a well-earned break. The reality is you do all of that and then you're going to have to go and do it again, or go and head off somewhere else, and you park up and immediately have to start preparing for the next sector. Let's get the strobe lights off, landing lights off, start up that APU. Come on, there we go. Flaps go to 0. Transponder, get the weather radar. Oh, not that one, off and off. And we're just going to go and take any stand we feel like, so we can get those nose wheel lights off already. I think we'll just park straight in. And then we'll taxi out as we need to. Oh, maybe we'll do the whole loop round. No problem, Dougal. I hope you enjoyed it anyway, guys. Victor Tango, great video. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Victor Tango. We will have a replay soon of some passenger views to see that final turn. Yeah, I think we're actually going to turn all the way around here, so that'll be quite fun. Let's do that. Sorry if I missed any questions in that last part, guys. It was just too many things to do, as you probably saw. So yeah, do come to another stream soon. Subscribe if you like, and then you'll be notified, and I try and put them up in community posts. Oh, there's a train there. Excellent. Here we go. You'd have a marsher for this. God, we've really stretched out the manoeuvring of the 321 today, haven't we? Keep that wing behind the line. Love it. Oh, bit close. Left. There we go. Right, parking brake is set. APU is available. Let's check that again. Yeah, it is available. Shutting down. Fantastic. Passengers can walk around. Engines can spool down a bit. Beacon off. Right, let's just jump into the chat and let's have a look at what I've missed. So sorry, guys. Thanks, Hayden. Thanks for your offer of help. Absolutely, I'll have a look at the Teach Me thing and see how it goes. No problem, Dougal, at all. Thanks for coming along to the stream. Thank you to all of you. Bradley, excellent approach. Really enjoyed the different approach. Yeah, good. I'm glad. So keep the feedback coming, guys. If you guys enjoy this sort of thing, then we can do more of it. There's plenty of airports out there to have a bit of fun at. And the ToLiss is the machine to do it in. It's got all the radials and VORs and things that you need to do this stuff, which is great. So yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah, fantastic. So I didn't see I didn't see all of the touchdown rates, but there we go. It sounds like it went all right. Enjoy your dinner. Anyone who's going for dinner, I'll be going for dinner soon as well. Geordie, see you next time. Thanks for coming along. Raz3 Raid, we did the localized alpha onto runway 33. I didn't use Smooth Track today, Simon. Mr. Espresso, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along, as always, Mr. Espresso. And thanks for supporting the channel. Checkpoint as well. Thanks for the stream. Stick to ILS for now. Absolutely fine. Yeah. Kyle Cruz enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Rakon says, do you always explain that much? If yes, I mean, yeah, if I'm doing something different, I try to explain it through as we go. I don't like to do stuff that is, if I can't explain it, then I won't be doing it probably, because I'll just be talking nonsense. So yeah, we like to talk through stuff on the channel. Okay, right, I promised it. It's time for getting off of VATSIM. Let's get a replay up. Nice short thing. Look at that final approach. That is really great. I think this would be really fun in real life. I'd love to go here as a passenger. Probably going to have to fly via Rome or something. It seems like a very domestic style airport. Because we did do Split, which involved a fairly short turn onto final, but it wasn't quite as impressive as this one, I must say. Yes, Papa, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming along. See you soon, Philip. Thanks for coming. Lawrence Draper says, can Airbus pilots tell the difference between engine types? So leap against CFM. Certainly the NEOs, yeah. The NEOs are slightly different aircraft. They've got different interior, some different instruments and so on. CFM and IE, similar, very similar. You could fly them on the same day. It wouldn't make too much difference to you. Here we go. Here's the turn on to final. Let's do our classic view. Look at that. Okay, let's see. Let's see the final turn properly. Let me just get the camera set right. Now we floated a bit far. One of those awkward airports without a touchdown marker where you, in real life, you'd need to set an idea where you want to touch down. There we go. I think this would be really cool to see in real life. I must go onto YouTube. We went slightly through the centre line, but only slightly. I'd say it's fine. There you go. Now correcting back onto it. So yeah, most certainly an unstable approach as they come. I can see why it needs extra training. Into the flare, high rate of descent, bit of an over flare, caused this sort of float here. There we go. Get that reverse going. The reason that I wobble left every time is because I take my hand off the joystick as I press F1. I need to find a better way of doing reverse. And out we go. Fantastic. Yeah, good fun. Right, guys, it's time for the outro, and we'll take a passenger view on that. I think we'll go with, let's see which view's going to work best. We want to view out the either side. I suspect will work for us today. Let's do the left as we get the banking round and the sea. Right, so I'm going to leave this running, guys, with a bit of music. Hopefully, apologies for the music at the start. I got that a bit wrong. Just want to say, once again, thank you all so much for taking the time to come along. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for the donations, for the merchandise, everything like that. Glad you enjoyed it. And do please subscribe to the channel and so on, so we can get more of these videos in the future. And like I said, there's a walk-around video coming soon and a few other videos coming up on the channel. Maybe some more reviews and things like that as well. So for now, enjoy your dinners, enjoy your evenings or your days, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for coming along today, and we'll see you again in a video soon. Keep safe, and bye-bye. Thank you.